This online training series is the first session in a series of 7 videos which are brought to you by Sama Audit Systems and Softwares Private Limited India on Idea Software. In today's session, we are going to learn how to create automatic and repeatable discovery dashboards using Idea Software. Our learning objectives for the session is the process to create dashboards using Discover an Idea, how you can edit the dashboards to create your own visualization view. We will be running specific procurement case study analytics in this particular video. The process of creating the visualization view on the procurement analytics will be converted into a macro and more specifically a visual script. Idea version 11.1 allows for scheduling of the macro within Idea. We will see how that can be done. And once we run the scheduled macro, you will notice how you can create your very own visualization view on a new set of procurement data. Now let's move over to Idea. In Idea, I begin by creating two project folders. The first project folder will be titled Previous Period Analysis. I will also create another folder called Current Period Analysis. Now let me go to the previous period analysis. I'm going to copy data from the procurement case study into the folder previous period analysis in source files. So this is the procurement data for the earlier period on which I'm going to record the macro. I will also copy the procurement data for the current period, and I would paste the same in the current period analytics within source files. The objective on hand is simple. I import the data from the previous period analytics, prepare my own discovery visualization dashboard, run some analytics, convert it into a visual script, and run that visual script on the current period analytics. Now let's go back to Idea. In Idea, I'm going to be importing the data, so I import the file as an Excel file. The data is already in my source files folder, and I import the file. Let me begin by creating a discovery visualization view for myself. So I go to Analysis, click on Discover. Discover is a very useful feature. It allows you to get a lot of ready impressions and insights on the data based on certain pre-built analytics already created within Idea software. And it's a good way for you to get closer to the data, understand the data better, and also create your own displays and views on the data as a very good starting point for analysis in the Idea cycle. This process may take a couple of seconds depending on the size of the data, and you can see that the dashboards are getting rendered anytime shortly. You can actually see that on generating the discovery view, I am able to notice that there are two purchase orders which have a duplicate number. This is very interesting because conventionally I would arrive at this by doing a duplicate detection, but here I'm able to generate it automatically through the discovery view. I also notice that there are certain outlier transactions in the data which are appearing here in red. These are all the high value purchase orders. There's also a grouping chart on a field called unit of measurement, which is automatically generated. Now I would not want the grouping chart on the field unit of measurement, so I go to the settings, and in the settings, instead of choosing the unit of measurement, I choose, let us say, created by. That is the user who's created the PO, and I notice that the user ending with the number 42 has got the highest concentration of POs by value. I replace the earlier view with my view. So this is my view. This is the way I would like my Discover dashboards to appear. I'm comfortable with this particular impression. I save it, and notice it gets saved in the visualization folder. I call it My Visual Dashboard. Now I'm going to come out of the Discover screen. I'm going to run very specific analytics on the procurement data The first analytic I'm going to run is a procurement rate variation check, where I use the duplicate key exclusion dialog box. I look for the same material procured at the same plant, having the same unit of measurement, the document date and currency, but a different net price. Now you notice in the data, many of the entries have a null value net price or a zero value net price. If I do not exclude that, I will get false positive. So let me put in a filter here where I say net price greater than 0. And let me call this test PO rate variance report. You notice that when I run this report, my base data had 699 records. I'm now getting a file of around 9 records where there are specific rate variations. For example, look at row number 3 and 4. You can see that the same material is procured at the same plant on the same date, and the variation is 150,000 and 670,000, and that's a significant variation. Let me export this particular file to Microsoft Excel. The next report I would like to do before I render this activity into a macro is I want to identify my top 10 vendors. So I summarize the data by vendor. I total on net value, and this would give me the vendor PO value summary. Now I perform a top records on this particular file where I identify the top 10 vendors by PO value summary. Okay, top 10 vendors by PO value summary. Okay, and this gives me my preferred vendors, this gives me my top vendors by value, and I can now export this particular report to Excel too. So friends, I've done a couple of things now. I've imported the PO data, I've created my own discovery visualization view, I've done a PO rate variation check, and I've identified the top 10 vendors by PO value. I'm now going to close these databases. I'm going to go into the project overview, because now it's the time for me to record the task done in the form of a visual script. I'm in the project overview. I click on create a macro and highlight all the tasks from end to end. And you can choose either an idea script or a visual script. I would go with the visual script since it's a bit more easy to operate and manage. I'm going to click on finish, and I'm going to save this visual script as a file, my macro visual script. So I've actually now got my macro readied. I am now going to go into the current period analytics folder because I would like to see how the macro runs now in an auto mode. I'm not going to manually run it. I'm going to have IDEA run it automatically on its own. I go into the library, and it is very important to note one point here, that the macro is saved in the previous period analytics folder. I need to copy that, paste it in the current period analytics folder. The other part which is very important is the visualization which I have saved. My visualization in the visualization folder should also be copied and pasted in current period analytics in the visualization folder. So these are two important things which you need to do. You need to copy paste the macro and copy paste my visualization. And now I move on to IDEA. In IDEA, I am going to schedule the macro. Now this is very important. This is the view on the file explorer. I also have the library tab. I choose the library tab, and in the current project library I expand macros. This is the macro which I copy pasted, my recorded macro. I am going to schedule this macro. Now notice you will get a message like this, and this is an important troubleshooting for us. You can only schedule it when you run IDEA as an administrator. So let's do one thing. Let's close IDEA. Let's go into the search box in Windows. I can see IDEA come up within the search box, and I'm going to click on IDEA, run as administrator. And this ensures that you are able to schedule the macro as an administrator. I go back to the same view, choose the macro, schedule, and now you see I'm able to open the schedule box where I can choose the frequency, I can choose the date, I can choose the time, I can give an email address so that the task completion or non-completion gets assigned through a notification to the concerned user. And what's very important is after you schedule the macro, you need to close IDEA, and very shortly you'll notice that IDEA opens up automatically in 2 minutes and the task will run. Now remember, the import will run. I'll get my own visualization dashboard. The PO rate variance test will run, and the top 10 vendors test will run in the current period analytics folder. Let me come to the desktop so that you can see the macro run. Once again, remember, IDEA needs to be closed when you've scheduled the macro. IDEA will open up automatically. The macros will run on its own, and you will get the desired results. This feature of scheduling a macro is new. It's been introduced in IDEA 11.1. Earlier on, we had to compile the IDEA script as an exe file, and the exe file had to be scheduled within the Windows Task Scheduler. So it was a cumbersome process. Now everything can happen end to end within IDEA. It's a very, very convenient process, and it's made life much, much more easy for all of us who would like to engage in automatic and repeatable analytics. Notice the macro has begun. You can see the task running in the background. The task is complete in a matter of a few seconds. I'm going to open up IDEA, and I should see in the current period analytics, I should see the tasks have run on its own. And now if I go to the visualization view, I would really like to see if the visualization dashboard has got created on its own, right? I don't need to manually configure the dashboard as I did in the beginning of my session. This should automatically get created. It may take a couple of seconds to render, and you will get to see my visualization dashboard within the listing of visualizations. You just need to double click on that, open it up, and you'll get to see your dashboard. Okay, so once again, the import of the PO has taken place, the rate variation has taken place, the top 10 vendors have taken place, and now here in the visualization dashboard, you can see, friends, my visual dashboard. It's automatically created. I open it up, and you'll notice now on the previous period data, I had 2 duplicates on the PO number, and there was a single user who was a high value PO generator. Now on the current period data, there are 4 duplicates on purchase order number, and you can see there are a few more users who are the high value PO generators on the data. So thank you so much for being a part of this online training session, and we look forward to coming to you with more of such sessions over the next 7 sessions in the month of April. Thank you.